Hello. It's Word of Gourd time again. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're ready for some more info about Maitreya and his views on the Ascension. That is what I have decided to do today. He gave me, as he's given others, information about how he views the Ascension process some years back. And it became some pages in my second book, More Adventures in Eternity. I have since done a good deal more channeling of Maitreya, and we'll get to that on another video. But for this one, I'd like to focus on the Ascension process and the notes he passed on to me back then. Now, I know there's a lot of information about the Ascension on the internet and in books, and there's probably a little too much. It can get confusing if you're looking for a viewpoint that are almost too many. So I hope that this one does not add to your confusion, but adds to your sharpening sense of clarity. It certainly was useful to me, and I was honored to receive it, really. Now, I'll be reading from a fairly long channeling, a couple of sections that I think are appropriate and useful. So forgive me while I have my eyes down and flick some pages here. I was still something of a newbie when this was done, a little in awe of all the beings I was meeting in my practice of consciousness projection. But Maitreya certainly did his best to put me at ease. Maitreya, completely at ease, analyzing and creatively responding to any visitor's expectations, anxieties, and general state of mind with the fluid grace of the professional. He knows what you want, what you need, and, I suspect, the best of several available delivery methods. That I feel no urgent desire to update his knowledge of earthly matters, the politics of light and dark, if you like, comes as no surprise. I know he knows all those details from his constant roaming through the plains. The talk revolves around the Ascension process, as keenly anticipated by New Agers the world over, and how it will continue towards its inevitable fulfillment, despite the dark agents of greed, lust, and fear, which are everywhere apparent. The two can coexist. The two must coexist. Each will be raised in the transition. For example, on a scale of -10 through 0 to +10, those at +3 will move up 2 or 3 notches, while those at -4 will be moved up a couple of notches also. It is not, as some have envisioned, a total transcendence or dissolution scenario. Soul energy is very rarely wasted, just recycled into varying scenarios of challenge and change. Yes, there will be those who cannot or do not wish to cope with the energetic changes pervading the planes, and will likely seek, en masse, their comfort level on other planetary systems of suitable density. Some of those reading this text will more than likely become guiding spirits of such slow learners and late bloomers. We, of course, can never be sure just how many will be required, but the term plenty would seem operative in this regard. Yes, calendars which anticipate immense cycles, such as the Mayan, are based on ancient and largely accurate information. There will not be any major fireworks on January 1st, 2012, or any calamities of a so-called cosmic nature, at least as far as Maitreya is aware. But the date itself is a useful midpoint marker for the upcoming changes and not to be sniffed at. Somewhat later in the same consciousness projection experience, I returned to Maitreya. Or I shouldn't say I returned to him. I was investigating what other aspects of astral Gordon were up to, as I seem to be able to split into 3 or 4 aspects when I'm out of body. So I didn't return to Maitreya. I just refocused my attention on that aspect of me that was with him. Meanwhile, 2 is still engaged with Maitreya, trying to be as polite and deferential with him as he is with me. He seems pleased with all the earthly efforts on his behalf, all the foundations, magazines, and websites. Yes, his message is filtered through the personality concerns of each individual, placing themselves in his line of light, and the ego's all aflutter with the implied flattery. But the general direction unfolding is much as he and the hierarchy desires. The one world consciousness, powered by compassion, kindness, and mutual respect, the bringing together of the planes, particularly the physical and the astral, the awakening to the extraterrestrial visitors, and the understanding of their needs, the growth of individual consciousness, unshackled from nationalist and religious dogma, the acceptance of women and children as equals. Yes, there are many hurdles to be jumped, and many who will not make the dimensional transition, but their relocation will be painlessly accomplished between incarnations. Another planet is ready to accept the influx. The ascended Earth will not be to their liking anyway, and they will no more recall their last Earth life than the average soul now remembers their stints on Atlantis. I ask about dangers, about dark forces seeking to corrupt the plan and retard the development. The dark forces are part of the great plan, he says, implying that I know this already. The demons of fear, pride, lust, and power have always been with us, always offering their avenues of seeming excitement and escape. They continue to propel divisiveness and anger and destruction, as they always have. But although they have no significantly more influence than before, their adherents have more technologically sophisticated means of implementation, and the usual fanatical lack of qualms about using them. But despite all signs to the contrary, light and love will prevail. I am asked not to take this on faith, but to help bring it about by manifesting it on a day-to-day basis in my own life. Obviously, my role is to relay this to the reader. So, I hope that helps a little. It's fairly straightforward, to the point. There's no missing what he means. And I'm getting to the end of my allotted 10 minutes, so I will wish you farewell, dear friends, and hope that you will join me again sometime.